Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2 and I'm back again with another book review. Recently I just read this very small autobiography by Dr. Hawking. It's called My Brief History. And interestingly enough, the title itself actually reflects upon the time when he wrote A Brief History of Time, which was his most popular book, which I've read, and it's absolutely astronomical, pardon the pun, but it really is a magnificent book, and it helps the layman understand the realm of theoretical physics and black holes and all of that. And it's very funny how initially Stephen wanted to call it a short history of time, but his publicist said, no, let's call it a brief history of time. And actually that was a little bit more poetic, I think, and probably what caused the book to sell so well, because it just tripped off the tongue. It's a little bit about PR and marketing, so I thought that was very clever, and this shows an awful lot of Mr. Hawking's humor, which I really enjoy, and the fact that he is an atheist, which, you know, I don't see anything wrong with that. I actually admire him for it and being so open about that. But his father really wasn't a believer either. He had a King James Bible, according to the autobiography. He had a King James Bible that he read for the cultural significance of it and importance of it as well, which you know, I could see that too, loving anthropology so much as I do, as well as history. I think that's totally acceptable. This story is really good, and I just could not put down this book at all. And the photographs are just outstanding, truly. And he continues to inspire me. One thing that I found very striking here is when he discusses when he learned that he was diagnosed with autoimmune disease, or what they call it, auto neuro disorder. I forget what they called it in Britain, but they said they first felt that it was multiple sclerosis, but then they said, no, this is very rare. He was 21 when he was diagnosed, and he thought that maybe he could feel sorry for himself, but there was a young child next to him in his hospital room who suffered and died of leukemia, and he said it, and these were his words, it wasn't a pretty picture. And he said, whenever I feel sorry for myself, I just think of that boy. And that to me had just an immense impact, because I look at him and I feel so edified and just absolutely fortified to continue what I do in helping people. And just my love of theoretical physics, it just, you know, gives me hope for the field and inspiration. I am but an amateur compared to him. He has studied all of the equations and everything that goes into it. I don't even understand the equation. All the equations just go way over my head. I'm best off with geometry. Yeah, that's a little bit more my speed, practically speaking. But I've actually been able to get a little bit more into just general math, and before I thought, oh, I'm afraid of all this. It's really nothing to be afraid of, and even though it's really not my strong suit, I still love it, because numbers and integers and all of those expressions that we use in everyday life, they're very important, and a lot of people don't realize this, and it's what makes the world go around, and what helps make the world make sense, including the realm of physics. And they have to use an entirely different form of formulating and calculating. So I totally respect that, and I just love this book. It's really spectacular, and you could read it in a day if you're like me, and if Mr. Hawking and what he's done for science and physics, and just are wanting to know about his upbringing and his parents and his grandparents and where they came from. It really is inspiring. This is such an uplifting book. It is just absolutely enthralling, and I am so happy I picked this up because I thought for myself, I really don't know where I'm going. I just know I'm going to get there sooner or later. But he had such a very tremulous existence when he was just a little boy, because his family didn't come from wealth. And it's really ironic and paradoxical considering where he is now. But this should give everybody hope, and that's what I'm going to actually go to one of my favorite chapters, and he talks about life itself, and it's called No Boundaries, but I'm going to go ahead and read it because I just thought this was splendid. No boundaries. When I was 21 and contracted ALS, I felt it was very unfair. Why should this happen to me? At the time, I thought my life was over and that I would never realize the potential I felt I had. But now, 50 years later, I can be quietly satisfied with my life. I have been married twice and have 3 beautiful and accomplished children. I have been successful in my scientific career. I think most theoretical physicists would agree with my prediction of quantum emission from black holes is correct, though it has not so far earned me a Nobel Prize, because it's very difficult to verify experimentally. On the other hand, I won even the more valuable fundamental physics prize awarded for theoretical significance of the discovery, despite the fact that it has not been confirmed by experiment. My disability has not been a serious handicap in my scientific work. In fact, in some ways, I guess it has been an asset. I haven't had to lecture or teach undergraduates, and I haven't had to sit on tedious and time-consuming committees. So I've been able to devote myself completely to research. To my colleagues, I'm just another physicist, but to the wider public, I became possibly the best-known scientist in the world. This is partly because scientists, apart from Einstein, are not widely known as rock stars, and partly because I fit the stereotype of a disabled genius. I can't disguise myself with a wig and dark glasses. The wheelchair gives me away. Being well known and easily recognizable has its pluses and minuses. The minuses are that it can be difficult to do ordinary things such as shopping without being besieged by people wanting photographs, and in the past the press has taken an unhealthy interest in my private life. But the minuses are more than outweighed by the pluses. People seem genuinely pleased to see me. I would be too if I could meet them. I even had my biggest ever audience when I was an anchor for the Paralympic Games in London in 2012. I have had a full and satisfying life. I believe that disabled people shouldn't concentrate on things that their handicap doesn't prevent them from doing and not regret those they can't do. In my case, I have managed to do most things I wanted. I have traveled widely. I have visited the Soviet Union 7 times. The first time I went with a student party with one member, a Baptist, wished to distribute Russian language Bibles and asked us to smuggle them in. We managed this undetected, but by the time we were on our way out, the authorities had discovered what we had done and detained us for a while. However, to charge us with smuggling Bibles would have caused an international incident and unfavorable publicity, so they let us go after a few hours. The other 6 visits were to see Russian scientists who at the time were not allowed to travel to the West. After the end of the Soviet Union in 1990, many of the best scientists left for the West, so I have not been to Russia since then. I have also visited Japan 6 times, China 3 times, and every continent, including Antarctica, with the exception of Australia. I've met the presidents of South Korea, China, India, Ireland, Chile, and the United States. I have lectured in the Great Hall of People in Beijing and in the White House. I've been under the sea in a submarine and up in a hot air balloon in a zero-gravity flight, and I booked to go into space with Virgin Galactic. Oh, you lucky dog. I really want to do that myself, but I don't have the moolah. My early work showed that classical general relativity broke down at singularities of the Big Bang and black holes. My later work has shown how quantum theory can predict what happens at the beginning and at the end of time. It has been a glorious time to be alive and doing research in theoretical physics. I'm happy I have added something to our understanding of the universe. Pretty much says it all, I think.